My name is Fiona, and I play in various bands. And at the moment, I don't play because everything was shut down. So we're kind of in a winter sleep. Every musician I know is just trying to do other things in life. But we have been recording a new album with Tvinna, and this has been very much fun. And we've also took the time to do a really nice video, which is going to be out, I think, in the beginning of December. And yeah, I've been playing also in Faun for 20 years, which is a long time. And I just, this year I took over the farm of my granny. So I have now lots of deer. I have more than 30 deer around the house. And they also want my attention and they want my presence. So I decided to change my life a bit. And so I don't play in Faun anymore because we were touring way too much to combine with a farm life and lots of animals. And yeah, it's a big change in my life, but I really enjoy it. And I'm also happy when we can go to tour a bit again with Tvinna next year. Yeah.
When you were 8 years child playing the piano, would you think that you'd be this um, international musician known in Brazil or in every corner of the world, and some kind of Germanic folkloric guardian or something like that? Do you, that child would imagine that happen?
No, I don't think so. I was a really shy child and I would play for myself for hours and hours, really practicing every day. And I was actually, um, you know, I was never used to have audience when I play. So when I first entered the stage, I think it was really strange for me to have people actually listening to my music. And it took me a while to get used to that feeling. And I never really planned to be a musician. But, the things you don't plan are mostly the best. So I'm really happy everything turned out like that.
And if you were not a musician, what do you think you'd be doing today? There is something you had in mind, or something in a way that music just spread it, spread you from that?
I was always interested in plants and especially in herbs and everything. And that's what I also kind of studied besides music. So herbal medicine and everything that has to do with this would probably have been my way if I wouldn't have made it as a musician.
And this passion with the herbs has something to do with, um, I don't know, because in Tvinna or in Faun, there is all of this ancient culture being not used but being continued in a new way. Uh, I- is there a connection with the herbs and the music and your life with in the connections with the ancient, or these are disconnected things?
No, I think this belongs together very much. Um, it is something about the old tradition, of course, to be found in both of these things. I mean, the herbal medicine is something that is so old and so beautiful in a way, and the same is with the music. Um, and also, always when I play music, um, I have the feeling of giving something that is doing good to people, like that is like curing the heart, or just touching souls. And this is maybe the connection with the herbal medicine I feel. Yeah.
That's great, because one of the questions a friend have done for you is just asking what kind of feeling you want to give people when playing or singing. I mean, you have mainly three projects. I mean, you have Fiona and Tvinna and Faun. You have your. This feeling is the same for any of these projects. Always just giving good to people through music.
Yeah, with Tvinna, it's one step further to me, because Tvinna is not always a pleasant style of music. It can sometimes also, because we have a metal drummer and also a metal guitarist in the band, it's more full-on music. So it's more expressive, and it also wants, I think, to encourage people to not always be nice, maybe to step out of politeness sometimes and to look at the dark themes. But also this is something that can be freeing to, to anyone, I guess.
Yes. Um, Tvinna translates itself in a kind of a circle of women that today continues the job of their ancient, maybe taking the threads woven till now, and through music continuing making these together, and I mean spreading some kind of word, as you say, bringing light to the shadows. At some times in ancient history, women had to hide themselves and keep their secrets so they're not be hunted. And I don't want to ask you how important it is to spread this kind of word, but because I don't think it's questionable. But for you, how important it is to take women nowadays to bring them to this circle and make this circle bigger and stuff like this.
Yeah, the thing about the women's circle is also something that came to our mind and our like perception, because we were actually women finding each other and want to make music together, and all of this topic bringing up a female band is very unusual, because usually you only have one female person and the rest is all guys. So this is a special thing, and we also used to have two women in Faun always, and now we're three in Tvinna. And it's just a different kind of energy, and it's some kind of trusty atmosphere amongst us. And it's really nice also now to have taken the boys in the band, so they're really it's really hard to explain. I think that there is still some space for women to step out, because nowadays we have the situation that many women, I don't know how it's in your country, but many women just are also trapped in this kind of crazy everyday work schedule and having kids at the same time and things like this, and all of this topic of emancipation turned out to be something of which I'm sometimes not really sure if it was really helpful, or if it is a step forward to make like every human being just a work slave in sense of the global economy. So this is definitely one aspect of this, to remember of the female energy that is just, keeping the space for people to, to feel good, give back some worth to the female kind of energy. But also show that the female kind of energy is not only something really soft, but it can also be really strong. And I think there is also some wild feelings about being a woman, and it's really beautiful to discover this amongst our circle, and then later on to show it to the audience. Yeah.
Yes, I can totally understand you in some way, of course. I'm not a woman. But here in Brazil, we have a really complicated situation with that too. So, Raquel, who is a friend from a band here from Brazil, they play Irish music. She
Mm-hmm.
asked if you think there are few women in folk music nowadays.
Yeah, there are few women. I mean, probably one of the reasons is that touring and having kids is not always easy to combine. You know, I've had this experience myself, but for me, I always saw it more like a sporty kind of challenge to combine it. But I also was really lucky because my son, he was always easygoing. So, but I think if you have two kids or more kids, then it's hard to organize, just, the basic touring thing. And also, what I heard lately was really interesting because when we had the video shoot with Tvinna, we worked with two actresses and they're actually studying arts in Berlin. And they told me that you kind of get taught nowadays that as soon as you're a mother, you won't be taken serious as artist. So this is kind of what the teacher tells them. Just don't get kids because otherwise you won't be, taken serious as artist because you're kind of, I didn't really get it, but it seems to be a thing. But yeah, this was something I was wondering about still a bit because I've never had this feeling that motherhood makes you less, less respectable or I don't know. I mean, the opposite is actually the case. I think, if you experience giving birth, it makes you really strong and gives you a total different view on the world and everything. Like, I don't know, but I think it's mainly the organizational problem with women and touring.
Oh, yes, that's not a good thing. I mean, that's the same problem with general jobs and people,
Yeah.
employers that say if you have a child, you don't have time for your job, or if something happens to your child, you have to go running home and take care of a child. And I mean, it's all wrong. And okay, that's
Yeah.
not. No, that's not
I
okay. But
think for
I
me it was
understood it.
really easy. I never had a problem, and I also had a band who supported me. They were making it possible that I could, for example, travel with train always when they were in the band, and I would just take the train, so my kid could be running around all the time. I was traveling with train to Hungary and Spain. We've done all that, and it was good fun, I think. And now my son is kind of grown up. He's bigger than me. I think one head taller, and you know, he he's different than other kids. I think he's just more cosmopolitan or something.
You said that he's taller than you. Um, one of my friends sent a one question, making she asking how she can be like you when she grow up, and another friend said, okay, when we grow up, cause she is really tall. And how high are you?
I'm 1 meter and 75 centimeters. So
All
I'm
right,
kind of
now
tall for a woman, I think.
okay.
Not too.
Uh, and answering Giselle, the girl, what she has to do to be like you when she grow up.
One thing about being tall is also it's really nice if you wear high heels then, because then you're like extremely tall, and I kind of like that sometimes. Yeah, to your other question, I really don't know.
No, it's fine. But
It's a funny
that is
question.
there is something that there is a girl, Raíssa, Abarda. She's a bard here in Brazil, and she sings. And also Raquel, they made some kind of a same question. Um, you as a multi-instrumentist or something
Mhm.
like that. Um, can you make connections between these instruments and the music, and maybe give some kind of a tip for people who is trying to begin with music and they're trying to they are trying new instruments, or they are afraid of instruments. They are trying to pick some that will fit to their gift or something like that. Do you have a tip that connect all instruments and that make it easier to learn it?
Yeah, I think so. Because when I started to play more and more instruments, I realized that once you have a feeling for music, it's really not the thing to try out a different instrument. It's more about the general approach to music, and then you find a different instrument and you will find a way how to, of course, learn a little bit about the technique, but then the music that comes out of my bagpipe or the music that comes out of my piano or whatever I play is of course different, but it has always the same scent, and it has always kind of a similar feel to it. And I guess this is just something from my character that flows through the music I do, no matter what instrument it is. And I'm pretty much an autodidact, so I never had a teacher in bagpipe, for example. And I just always advise to people just to relax, you know. You don't have to be perfect. You don't have to do things like other people do. Just put on your favorite piece of music you want to learn and just play to it as long as you like, until you feel some kind of, okay, I can hook up to that piece of music, and maybe then try the next one, and so you get better. I don't know. um, it's easier than most people think. I think most people have, when before they start music or while they want to play music, they feel it's maybe really difficult. But I think in fact it's not so difficult. It's just a thing about relaxing and, you know, just finding out what you like, you know.
Understanding music without pressure, maybe something like that.
Yeah,
That's
something like that.
I mean, and Tvinna, and you, the band itself, it doesn't use on instruments. We can hear sounds of maybe nails or wood sticks or rocks and water,
Mm-hmm.
and and I mean, there is nothing beyond the feeling of bringing all of these together to make a great sound. So there is not an instrument that has been built to make these sounds, but they are all together. So maybe it's only about the music and not about the instrument.
Yeah, you can use anything as instrument, really. Um, you know, especially in South America. I was also traveling South America a lot, and I really love when people just get on the streets and they have some pots or, you know, anything, and just start drumming and dancing.
We talked about a little bit about ancient culture being used in music in life today, but do you have some religious connection with that?
Yes, I think I think I was, because I went to some kind of special school when I was a kid, and my parents were always also reading me like the old um, many fairy tales, and in many fairy tales you kind of still find the old religion, be it in the, you know, figures of dwarves or elves. And then in the school where I was as a kid, the first writing we actually learned were the runes, and then we went through all the other, you know, stories. And so I was kind of raised in that way. So I know about our cultural background, and it's something that comes natural when I go to the forest. And I don't know, it's just some kind of special feeling that I took from that, um, towards nature and towards our, you know, being on the planet and the forces that are around us.
So it's about the relationship with the environment
Yeah, I
and the
love.
respect with that.
Yeah, and also in the old culture is talking a lot about goddesses or gods, forces of nature who actually are around us and who actually are living creatures. It's just they're not like humans. You can't really see them, but sometimes you can feel them. Special times of the year, for example, when you're in the Alps and you feel the winds rising. And there were lots of stories about the old goddess Pechta, how she's coming down from the mountains, and she's really wild. And it's a dangerous also time of the year, in between the years, after Christmas and before the new year starts. It's a very sensitive time of the year. And I actually experienced her one time, and it was really impressive. So maybe to some people it sounds ridiculous, but you can actually feel these gods and goddesses still being amongst us. That's what I believe. Yeah.
In Germany, in itself, it's common people having this kind of background as you had.
Yes, I mean, I don't know if it has something to do about the circle where I'm just hanging out, people I know. But I think there are many people over here who connect to that. But of course, our country was also Christianized, so I think the majority of people is just still also very much in this Christian belief, and they don't realize that actually, the Christian traditions are pretty much heathen, are pretty much pagan in a way, because the Christian, people who came here just took on the traditions of the people, such as Easter or Christmas, that were initially pagan festivities, and turned into something Christian, so people would be more able to connect with the new religion and the new system of oppression in a way. Yeah.
Yeah, so we had the same process around here. We have saints made of cultural beliefs and stuff like that. So you believe the old ways in some way. You like ancient cultures and music, and you kinda live it like a Viking or something like that. Because you were in Germany and then you gone around the world and then you came back to Germany to live in your farm with your with everything you collected around the world through all of these years.
Yeah, kind of, but I didn't kill people.
No, yeah, oh, okay.
That's
uh,
maybe the difference.
just a little, just a
Just a
little,
little.
yes. But that's good that now you were taking care of your farm and having this calmer life. You said you'd like to go back to the stages sometime or make some tours with Tvinna.
Hmm.
I saw that there are a few trailers on your YouTube channel, Tvinna channel. There are on Spotify. There is also the gore,
Yeah.
the gore music. There are a few seconds. So it is the music that will be released on December.
Yeah. In December we are actually releasing another video, and I'm really proud of this video because it was all filmed here around my house on my own property, like in our forest, and in my backyard I have this old stone quarry. So we had our privacy and we filmed this video here, and the song um, the video is also one of my actually favorite songs in all times, because it's just so powerful. And it was written, we wrote the lyrics, we write all the lyrics in Tvinna together, and it's an old Germanic language. So for a German person, it has always this nice a fact that you understand some words, and then some words you don't really know what it means, and then you understand a bit of it. So it has this kind of associative feel to it, where I think many people who listen to it can maybe hear this, or the other person hears this, but in the end, it's something about, you know, rising and finding your own strength. And I think it will be really nice. And we also have a special guest on that song. You will surely know her. She's from Scandinavia, and she's an amazing musician. So this will be like a little surprise for everyone. And then the full-length album will be released in February. So this is actually still a bit of a secret, but I think in Brazil you can maybe already know it. It's just brand new that we got the date for the release. We had to wait with the album. We were actually aiming to release it this summer, but since everything was locked down, we decided to postpone it a bit so we can maybe connect it with an online release show, and then going on a real physical tour somewhere in the early summer. Yeah.
I don't want to take much more of our time, but you said something about the words in German that are, and someone, Raisa, also asked it. She said that you sing songs in many languages, in different languages. Uh, all of these languages, you know them, you know these languages, you know, with fluency, or you sometimes have to work with some words and decorate them to use in songs.
Mm-hmm. I mean, we don't, of course, speak fluent Old Germanic language, but many words have the same root. So if you have a German word and you find it in the older version of German, you can still see it's the same word. It's just pronounced a little bit different. Or maybe sometimes a word from old times has evolved to now have a more specific meaning, or is not used now so much, but you still kind of know it. So sometimes, of course, you have to look up words, and sometimes you have some kind of intuitive understanding. And the same is also happening if you, for example, write songs in Old Norwegian, because Old Norwegian is pretty familiar or connected to a German dialect called Plattdeutsch, which also is a regional Old Germanic dialect that is still spoken by some people. And it is similar to German, but it is also similar to Old Norwegian. And I was really impressed when we worked together with Einar Selbik from Vadruna, because I had to learn some of the Old Norwegian lyrics, and I found out that I can understand half of it. You know, if I take the time to really look at the words. And so this is beautiful. I got a feeling for this family of languages that nowadays are different languages, but in fact it's just all the same. It's like, you know, Danish and Norwegian and Netherlands and also Swedish and you know, and Icelandic too. Yeah.
And do you have any experiences with non-German or English rooted languages?
Yes, I speak, of course, English, but I also speak fluently Spanish. So I really like the Spanish language a lot. It has some kind of grip. And when I speak Spanish, I feel like a different person. I talk a lot, and I'm like, "Ah," like, like I knew, and where I learned the Spanish language from. And I think it's also beautiful, but it's also very similar to Brazilian, but the Brazil has such a different vibe. So I can kind of read it, but I can't really understand when people speak.
Yeah. And you have been in Brazil twice.
Yes.
Um, it's not a good question, but I think it's something common to do. Did you have the time to know any city? What do you think about Brazil? What do you think about people from here? What's your impressions from this country?
I thought that the Brazilian people are really lovely and they are awesome audience. So outgoing, when you enter the stage as a musician and you'll be welcomed by some huge scream and people already being happy without you having played any note. It's just a good feeling. When you play concerts around here, people are more like, okay, let's see what they have. Let's wait a bit, and then you try to cheer up people. But in Brazil, you go on stage and instantly it's a good atmosphere. So we really enjoy that. And I also really like the mixture of, the different cultures interested in our music. Of course, there are many people with European roots, but then we also had this dude. He was mainly in front of our drummer, and he was obviously African roots, and he really had fun with Rüdiger on all the drumming stuff. So I had the very nice impression that it's not as in America where there's a lot of racism going on. In Brazil, it seems to be a bit different. I hope so. I hope so. I just had the feeling in our concerts that it's kind of mixing up nicely.
Yes, yes, we have problems with
Yes,
races,
of course you have.
a lot of them. Um, well, I think I don't know if you have something you want to say more. I really don't want to take in more of your time, so I just can't thank you
I
about.
thank you too, and I really hope that our or my way will lead me back to Brazil one day to play more shows in all of this beautiful country. And I thank you too to call me and give me the opportunity for this interview. And many greetings to our fans out there in Brazil.
So, thank you very much. Once. Do you like pizza?
Pizza.
Yes.
Yeah, I love pizza.
What do you think about pizza without cheese?
Without cheese. I like it. I had it because we have some vegans in the band. But actually, I really also like cheese.
And do you like ketchup in pizza?
No, I've never tried it. I have to try it. I never tried it.
People, some.
I mean, we have pizza every week, I think. So next time I will just try it. I love ketchup with everything, basically with spaghetti or potatoes.